After my last Bonneville 400 video, I noticed something strange. Almost nobody was talking about the motorcycle itself. Instead, everyone was arguing about something much bigger. What actually matters when buying a retro motorcycle? And after reading your comments, I realized there are three completely different types of Bonneville buyers. The first group is easy to spot. These are the people saying, I'm waiting, not buying, not upgrading, waiting. Think about what that means. A motorcycle that hasn't launched yet is already delaying purchase decisions. That's powerful, but it's also dangerous because every month people wait, the expectations get higher, and the longer the wait, the harder it becomes to satisfy them. Recent reports suggest the Bonneville 400 may not arrive until the festive season later this year, meaning buyers could be waiting months before making a decision. Then I noticed something strange. The people waiting weren't asking, how much power will it make? They were asking, will it feel special? That's a completely different question because power can be measured, character can't. And whether you love Royal Enfield or hate Royal Enfield, they've convinced millions of riders that riding experience matters more than specifications. That's not easy to compete with. Before we move on, if you're new here, subscribe for more Bonneville 400 updates. And answer this in the comments. What's the one thing Triumph cannot get wrong on this bike? Because that answer might decide whether this bike becomes a hit or just another interesting launch. Then comes the second group, the skeptics. And honestly, these comments were fascinating because they weren't attacking Triumph. They were questioning the hype. One comment basically made me think, what if the Bonneville is good, but not good enough? That's a brutal question because nobody's comparing the Bonneville to nothing. They're comparing it to motorcycles they can ride home today. And suddenly being a good motorcycle isn't enough. Now you have to justify the wait. Then I found a comment that completely changed how I look at this launch. Someone pointed out that Royal Enfield's biggest advantage isn't the motorcycle. It's everything around it. The service network, the spare parts, the familiarity, the trust. And the annoying part is, they're right. Even online discussions around the Bonneville keep coming back to service reach and long-term ownership instead of just performance. Then we get to the third group. And honestly, these are probably the smartest buyers. These people weren't asking about launch dates. They weren't asking about horsepower. They were asking about maintenance, fuel compatibility, long-term ownership, future reliability. In other words, they were already thinking about year 3, not day 1. And that's usually how experienced buyers think. Which brings me to something nobody's talking about. The Bonneville 400 doesn't have a motorcycle problem. It has an expectation problem. Because every spy shot, every leak, every rumor adds another layer of expectation. And eventually the bike has to live up to all of it. That's much harder than simply launching a good motorcycle. So after reading every comment, I don't think Triumph's biggest competitor is Royal Enfield. I think Triumph's biggest competitor is the version of the Bonneville 400 people have already created in their heads. Because right now everyone imagines this motorcycle differently. Some want performance, some want character, some want practicality, some want exclusivity. And one motorcycle somehow has to satisfy all of them. So let me leave you with this. Forget horsepower, forget features, forget pricing. What's the first thing you'll judge when you finally see the Bonneville 400 in a showroom? Because that answer will tell us more about this motorcycle than any specification sheet ever could.